welcome back. So let us deal with the unit 2 of Nayi Talim subject, that is constructivism. I have made your job very easy by providing you with the detailed answers for every question. You can directly prepare these answers and write in the exam. And at the end of the video, I have provided you the revision notes which help you in revising quickly before going to your exam. So let us start with the unit. What is the meaning of constructivism? Explain the principles of constructivism. So, what is constructivism? It is a theory which explains that knowledge is actively constructed by the learner. That is, the learner himself has to gain the knowledge rather than passively receive from external sources. Okay, it emphasizes that learning is dynamic, continuous, and interpretative. So it is not based simply reading book and going writing exam. It is constructing one's own knowledge from scratch. Okay. Individuals build new knowledge based on their previous experiences, cognitive structures in the sense whatever they have in their mind, and interaction with the environment. So in these three ways, they construct their own knowledge. Okay. It rejects the traditional rote memorization and promotes understanding, meaning making and application of knowledge in real life context. Okay, every learner, according to this theory, every learner interprets the information differently based on their background, culture, and prior knowledge, making learning personalized and a unique process. Okay, so this emphasizes the importance of active engagement, inquiry, exploration, and problem solving. Inquiry means questioning. Okay, so teacher is not doesn't occupy the main role. The main role is occupied by the student. So teacher is just a facilitated guide and a co-learner. So teacher also is considered as a learner in constructivist theory. Okay, so constructivism promotes collaboration, learning, critical thinking, reflection, and creativity. It is a student-centered approach. Principles of constructivist learning. First principle, active learning. So in this active learning, the learner is not passive. He is an active participant, and this is a participatory process. Okay, students are directly involved in constructing knowledge through doing, experience, and interaction. And then this involves hands-on activities like experiments, discussions, projects, problem-solving tasks, and inquiry-based learning. Okay, this active learning connects theoretical knowledge with practical situations. Okay, it develops higher order thinking skills. Okay, in active learning, students ask questions, explore multiple solutions, and take responsibility of their own learning. So they are liable for their own learning. They are answerable. Okay, it leads to better retention of knowledge, application, and transfer of knowledge in new situations. So students will learn how to use the knowledge that they have acquired in real life situation. Second one is learning is social. Okay, first is active learning, second one is learning is social. So learning is a social process which involves interaction with peers and other people. It involves interaction, communication, and collaboration with others. Okay, so how can learning be made social? Group discussions, peer learning, cooperative activities, and collaborative problem solving. Okay, so learners will learn to express their diverse viewpoints. Okay, and then it also improves communication skill, teamwork, empathy, and respect for others' opinion. Next one is scaffolding. So what is scaffolding? Scaffolding is the structured support that is provided by the teachers or anybody who is more knowledgeable to the students who are to the students in order to achieve the tasks which are beyond their current ability level, beyond their intelligence. Okay, this support can include guidance, prompt, hints, demonstration, questioning, and feedback. Okay, as the learner slowly gains confidence and he slowly gains competence, the support system is systematically reduced. So, first, a teacher or anybody who is more knowledgeable will help a weak student. Once the weak student will slowly fall into the track, they back off. Okay, so this bridges the gap between what the learner knows and what they need to learn. Okay, it plays a crucial role in developing confidence, problem solving ability, and independent thinking skills. The next one is, what is situated learning? It emphasizes that knowledge is best acquired when it is embedded in real life context and authentic situations. That means a person can acquire maximum knowledge when real life examples are taken. When he is explained about real life situations, then the knowledge can be acquired quickly. Okay, learning becomes meaningful when students relate the concepts that they have learned to their daily lives, environment, and real world experiences. Okay, so it avoids abstract and isolated teaching. Isolated teaching is simply teaching theory. Okay, so instead focus on practical application and contextual relevance. Okay, this approach enhances understanding, motivation, and long-term retention of memory. So when real life examples are taken, real life situations are explained to students, then he can retain the knowledge for a very long time. Okay. It also prepares the learners to apply their knowledge in real life situations and solve practical problems. Next one is reflection. What is reflection? It is thinking deeply about what one has learned. Okay, thinking deeply about one's own learning experiences. That is introspection. Okay, it helps the learners analyze what they have learned, how they have learned, and how they can improve in the future. So it promotes self-reflection, self-awareness, self-assessment, and metacognitive skills. Metacognitive in the sense thinking skills. Okay, which are essential for lifelong learning. So learners, in this way, by reflecting, learners will be able to connect new knowledge with previous experiences. It increases critical thinking and continuous improvement. So with the help of reflection, learners will be able to apply their knowledge in real life situations. What is the relationship between constructivism and contextualized learning? You know what is constructivism? Constructivism is a process where learners actively construct their own knowledge based on their prior experiences and cognitive structures and interactions. What is contextualization? It emphasizes that learning should occur in real life, meaningful, and relevant context. That means real life examples should be included in learning so that knowledge can be effectively understood and applied in real life situations. So both the approaches, so how are they related? Both the approaches, they strongly oppose rote memorization and passive learning. Okay, they promote active engagement of the student and understanding and practical application. So constructivism provides the theoretical base. Okay, constructivism is a theoretical base, that is how learning should happen, while contextualization provides practical framework, that is where and how the learning should be situated. So both of them go hand in hand, theory and practicals. Theory is constructivism and practical framework is contextualization. Okay, together they ensure that learning is not only deep and meaningful but also useful, relevant, and connected to real life situations. So explanation of relationship between both of them, that is constructivism and contextualized learning in detail is given here. So first relationship is learning through real life context. Then use of prior knowledge and experiences. Then third one is active and experiential learning, social interaction and collaborative learning. Development of critical thinking and problem solving skills, making learning meaningful, relevant, and lifelong. So this both of them help in lifelong learning. Then holistic development of learners, then it bridges the gap between theory and practice. Explain briefly about Rabindranath Tagore's philosophy of rural reconstruction. So Rabindranath Tagore, as we all already know, he's not only a poet, but he's a visionary educationist and a social reformer who he deeply understood the problems of rural India. Okay, during his time, Indian villages, they suffered from poverty, illiteracy, unemployment, poor health conditions, and social backwardness. So he believed that true national development is impossible without the development of villages. He considered villages as the main point of development. Okay, so he criticized the existing system which ignored rural life, and it only emphasized on the need of reconstructing, and he emphasized on the need of reconstructing those villages through education, self-reliance, and community participation. Okay. So his philosophy of rural reconstruction was based on the idea of holistic and harmonious development, where economic, educational, social, cultural, and moral aspects are developed together. Okay. He mainly aimed to create villages which are self-sufficient, educated, and culturally vibrant and socially united. So, what is rural reconstruction concept according to him? He it means the overall development of village life, not just economic growth, but also improvement in aspect of education, agriculture, health, sanitation, employment, and social harmony. So his theory focused on empowering villages. Okay. And then he believed that villagers should become active participants in their own development. What are the core principles according to Tagore's rural reconstruction? First is self-reliance, that is Atmanirbharata. It means villages should become self-dependent in meeting their basic needs. Okay, they should rely on their own skills, resources, and cooperation. Okay, this promotes confidence, dignity of labor, and independence. It encourages local production and consumption. And the second principle is economic development through local resources, utilizing, that is utilizing locally available resources like land, water, forests, and the skills that different people have. Promotion of cottage industries, this is small scale industries, handicrafts, agriculture, and other small scale industries. Provides employment opportunities and reduces migration to cities. So it will, this economic development will reduce the migration of villagers to cities, people in villages to cities, and it encourages sustainable development by using eco-friendly practices. Then educational reforms, that is education for life. Education according to him should be practical, activity based, and connected to real life situations. Learning should include agriculture, crafts, health and hygiene, and community service. He strongly condemned, or strongly he denied, bookish and exam oriented education. And education should become a tool for social transformation. Then the next principle is social cooperation and community spirit. He emphasized on collective effort and cooperation. Okay, he encouraged formation of groups, cooperatives, and community organization. Okay, then cultural and moral development. He believed that the development, whichever whatever is happening, should not destroy the local culture and traditions. It should in fact uplift the local culture and traditions. He encouraged music, drama, festivals, dance, arts, and literature which are present in those particular villages. Promoted moral values like honesty, respect, empathy, and harmony. Okay, aims to create a society that is not only economically strong but also ethically rich. That is, all people in the village should be ethically and morally, should have ethical and moral values. Okay, then harmony with nature. So Tagore also, not only all the above points, he also emphasized on environment. That is, he emphasized living in close relationship with the nature. Okay, he promoted environmental awareness and believed that nature plays a key role in physical and mental development. So he developed sustainable practice. He encouraged sustainable practices to protect natural resources. So, how are Tagore's ideas implemented? That is practical approaches. So, Center for Rural Reconstruction was established. That is Sriniketan. So, he established the Sriniketan near Shantiniketan. Okay, as a practical model for rural development. So, the Sriniketan focused mainly on education, agriculture, crafts, health, and village welfare programs. It provided training to villagers in skills, farming techniques, and building cottage industries. So, what's the role of education in rural reconstruction? It acts as a powerful tool for change and development. It helps villagers to gain knowledge, skills, and awareness. It promotes scientific thinking, that is, research oriented thinking and problem solving ability. Okay, and it makes people capable of improving their own living conditions. So, what are the phases of development? First, initial phase. Initial phase included Work in villages like Silai Daga focusing on agriculture. Next, Swadeshi phase, that is promotion of self-reliance, local industries, that is Make in India, something like Make in India initiative. Then Sriniketan phase, organized, systematic rural reconstruction program. So these three are the phases. First is initial phase, then Swadeshi phase, then Sriniketan phase. So, what is the importance of Tagore's rural reconstruction? Reducing poverty, unemployment, and illiteracy. Then promote self-sufficiency and sustainable development. It will strengthen the local economy and reduce the urban migration. It preserves culture, tradition, and community values, and balanced development of society and nation. What is its educational significance? Introduces learning through real life experiences. Then promotes skill-based and vocational education, improves critical thinking, creativity, problem solving skills, and encourages community participation. And it also supports modern approaches like experimental learning and contextual learning. What are Tagore's rural reconstruction movement updates and its contemporary relevance in India? So, as we already know, Rabindranath Tagore, he conceptualized this rural reconstruction movement, and he considered it as a holistic and integrated model of development. So its main aim is to transform villages into self-reliant, educated, culturally vibrant, and socially cohesive communities. Okay. So he identified that Indian villages during his time were affected with chronic poverty, unemployment, lack of education, poor sanitation, and social stagnation. Means there is no social growth, and therefore he understood that it required systematic and participatory development. Participatory development is development wherein the locals of the village also participated actively in its development. So he rejected the top down in the sense for top down charity based development. Top down means first higher class people were educated, then middle class, then lower class. So from first the importance is given to higher class, and least importance was given to lower class, and instead advocated bottom up approaches. Bottom in the sense first lower class and people of the minorities and people of the villages were educated, and then in the last comes the rich. Okay, where villagers actively participate in identifying the problems and implementing solutions. So he made villagers self-reliant. Okay, his philosophy of his philosophy combined education, livelihood, culture, environment, and ethics. Okay, ensuring that development is not merely economic but also human-centered and value-based. Okay. In contemporary India, that is the present day India, even though there is a lot of progress, the rural areas are still facing regional disparities, migration. Means rural people are coming to cities for better employment opportunities and better livelihood. Unemployment and lack of opportunities, which make Tagore's idea relevant even in today's times. Okay, so his vision in today his vision is reflected in various government schemes, initiatives, sustainable development practices. So all these aim at inclusive and self-sustaining rural ecosystems. Sriniketan Model Revitalization West Bengal is an important project that is taken up in order to put all of Tagore's ideas in one place. Okay, it was originally established by Tagore continues to influence modern and rural development by emphasizing integration of education, agriculture, crafts, and community life. Okay, in contemporary times, that is in present day time, revitalization efforts mainly focus on skill development, vocational education, and entrepreneurship training. This enables villages to generate sustainable livelihood. Okay, it promotes community participation, decentralized decision making. As I have already said in previous chapter, decentralization means the uh, central government will shift, or any central agency will shift its power to the local bodies,
in order to empower those local bodies. Okay, that is decentralization. Okay, where villages are not passive beneficiaries but active agents of change. So this Sriniketan model encourages the use of local resources, indigenous knowledge. Indigenous is in the sense traditional knowledge systems and traditional skills, ensuring development is context specific and culturally rooted. Okay. It integrates modern technique and traditional practices. Sriniketan type initiatives serve as living laboratories of rural innovation. So they are labs, they are models which test, okay, the growth of rural innovation, demonstrating how education can be directly linked with economic and social development. Then integration with national rural schemes. So there's something called Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana is AGY, which also reflects Tagore's idea of model villages focusing on holistic development, including infrastructure, education, health, and social harmony. There's one more called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, which aligns with Tagore's principles. Then NEP 2020 also emphasizes the experiential learning, social development, and integration of knowledge with life, okay, which also matches with Tagore's ideologies. So all these schemes they promote community participation, sustainable development, and village empowerment, which are central to Tagore's vision of rural reconstruction. What are some of the other contemporary projects inspired by Tagore? Kalpavriksha Initiative and Rural Innovation Network, Siksha Sopan, which is taken up by IIT Kanpur. Okay, so in these community-based educational models, education is contextual and rooted in local life. Then encourages participation of community members such as artisans, farmers, elders, etc. And it promotes learning by doing and experiential learning. It strengthens the relationship between school and society, making education more meaningful, reliable, relevant, and practical. So, what are some of the digital revival projects? So, these digital revival projects integrate digital technologies in rural areas. Okay, they enable online learning, skill training, and access to information. So, e-governance provides transparency, efficiency, and access to public services. So, technology will also help farmers uh, easily access the market, gives them weather information, and helps them with the modern agricultural practices, thus increasing their productivity. Okay, relevance in sustainable. So, sustainable development goals. Okay, how this Tagore's ideologies are relevant in SDGs. So, they help in rural self-reliance. They help uh, uh, farmers. They give education with lot of dignity. Okay, they help in women empowerment and they help give livelihood through crafts. And then ecological sensitivity. That means promote environmental conservation, sustainable agriculture, and harmony with nature. Explain the role of contextualized learning in promoting inclusive and sustainable environment. So, how is this contextualized learning will help in inclusive and sustainable development? So, as you know, contextualized learning is an educational approach that connects academic content with real life situations, local context, and experiences, lived experiences, means live experiences of learners. So, it ensures that learning is not learned in isolation. That is not simply rote learning, textbook, bookish knowledge, but it is linked to social, cultural, economic, and environment realities, real life situations. Okay, it is deeply rooted in this um, approach is deeply rooted in philosophy of learner-centered education, where students are actively engaging with their surroundings to construct meaningful knowledge. That is, they are the owners of their own knowledge. They construct their own knowledge. Okay, it plays a crucial role in achieving inclusive development by addressing the needs of diverse learners, including those from marginalized, rural, and disadvantaged backgrounds. It also supports sustainable development by promoting awareness about environmental conservation and resource and responsible use of natural resources for the well-being of entire mankind. Okay. Then how can it be contextualized learning be useful in promoting inclusive education? It ensures that education is accessible, relevant, and meaningful for all learners, irrespective of their backgrounds. It incorporates local language, culture, tradition, and examples, making learning more relatable and understandable. Okay, it bridges the gap between urban and rural learners. It supports learners from economically weaker and marginalized sections. It encourages equity and participation, and it also addresses gender equality issues also. Skill develop how it is used in skill development and employability. So contextualization will link education with practical skills and vocational learning, that is skill-based learning, enhancing employability. Learners gain hands-on experience through activities, projects, and real-life problems. Encourages development of life skills such as communication, collaboration, decision-making, and adaptability. And it prepares students for local employment opportunity. Okay, hence it will reduce migration from villages to cities. It promotes entrepreneurship and self-reliance among the learners. Then there is also contextualization will lead to balanced regional growth. Okay, then decentralization of development planning. So it will encourage planning and decision making at local levels and thereby empowering the local villages and rural areas. Okay. Then it will help to identify region specific problems, that is the problems which are specific to a particular region, and it will also help that particular place to come up with solutions to address those problems. Hence, it will empower the villages. Then cluster-based development across states. So cluster-based development across states means cluster is nothing but small groups, okay? So development of regional clusters or groups based on local strengths such as agriculture, handicrafts, and small industries. That is, each of the following like agriculture, handicrafts, and small industries will form small groups based on their strength. Okay, it enhances productivity, innovation, and economic growth within specific regions. It also encourages collaboration among local producers, institutions, and communities. Then convergence of multiple schemes for regional impact. That means it integrates various government programs to achieve holistic and coordinated development. It ensures efficient utilization of resources and maximum impact at grassroots level. Grassroots in the sense basic level. It strengthens infrastructure, education, and livelihood simultaneously. Then contextualized learning also facilitates environmental awareness and sustainability. Okay, it ensures sustainable practices in daily life. It helps in conservation of the natural resources and stopping of pollution and protection of biodiversity. Then it ensures community participation and social development. Then it ensures lifelong learning and adaptability. Explain Paulo Ferri's critical pedagogy and praxis in detail. So Paulo Ferri developed something known as critical pedagogy, which is a transformative approach where education becomes a means of liberation, empowerment, and social change. So critical pedagogy can bring about liberation, empowerment, and social change. So Paulo Ferri worked with marginalized, illiterate, and oppressed communities, and he observed that traditional education system often increase inequality instead of reducing it. So this was his observation. So according to Freire, education should not produce obedient individuals but should develop critical thinkers who question the reality. So he wants people to raise and question the inequality. Okay, so what is critical pedagogy according to him? So education is a process of developing critical awareness. So this critical pedagogy is a means to develop critical awareness about social, political, and economic realities. Okay, learners should not be passive recipients but active creators of their own knowledge. It emphasizes on dialogue in the sense opening up and questioning, participation, reflection, and action. So education becomes a process of humanization, that is restoring dignity and freedom, that is developing more and more human qualities. So what is critical consciousness, also called as conscientization? Okay, so the ability, that means it is the ability to analyze and question the social inequalities and power structures. So it helps the learners to move from blind acceptance to this awareness, then to critical questioning and social action. So this is the flowchart you have to remember. So individuals should move from blind acceptance. Blind acceptance is learning anything without understanding. Okay. Then from blind acceptance to awareness, that is trying to understand. Then questioning critically. Then critical questioning. Then taking social action. So this is a flowchart that you should remember. So this encourages individuals to challenge the oppression and bring change in the society. It develops responsibility, awareness, and empowerment. So what is a key transformation in learning? So learning should go from rote learning to critical thinking. Rote learning is nothing but simply bookish knowledge and mugging up things. So from that stage, you have to go to a critical thinking stage, then from passive learning to active participation, then from simply accepting things to questioning and then action. Okay, so this is the flowchart for the transformation that is supposed to happen. Then what are the core features of critical pedagogy? Dialogic learning, that is learning through dialogue. Dialogue in the sense opening up, speaking out. Okay, so education is based on two-way communication, but not merely lectures. Okay, teachers and students should engage in discussion rather than only one-way flow. Teacher keeps telling and student keep listening. That is not the way. It should happen through discussions. Both teachers and students should speak up. That is, exchange of ideas should happen. The student-teacher relationship is very, very important. Student-teacher should act as a guide, facilitator, and co-learner. Okay, students should actively contribute their ideas, experiences, and viewpoints. Okay, so it breaks the hierarchy of authority versus passive learner. So teachers are not the authority. Teachers are also co-learners. Okay, teachers are on par with the students. It creates democratic, inclusive, and participatory classrooms where students also feel heard. Their opinions also will matter. Okay, builds confidence, self-expression, and collaboration. Then banking model of education. So what is this banking model? The traditional system of education considers teachers as depositors of knowledge, like how we deposit money in bank. Teachers are also considered depositors of knowledge to students. Okay, students act as containers of accounts, merely passively receiving the information. There is no active participation of the students in this banking model. So, so this banking model is one-way teaching, that is only from teacher to student. It focuses on memorization and exams, no questioning or critical thinking. Students are totally dependent on teachers. Okay, it reinforces authority, control, and inequality. So, what are these limitations? What are the limitations of this banking model? It suppresses the creativity and independent thinking of students. It prevents understanding of real life problems. It increases the social inequality and domination. Okay, and it produces learners who simply follow, blindly follow, and do not question. Okay, what is the alternative? That is a problem posing education. Okay, that is learning through real life problems, inquiry. Students actively analyze, discuss, and construct the knowledge. It encourages critical thinking and creativity and problem solving. So there's one important concept that was given by Freire that is called praxis. So what is praxis? It is a continuous process of reflection and action through which individuals understand the reality and they work together to transform it. So they understand what the reality is and together they work to bring a transformation. So what is the simple idea of praxis? First reflect, that is thinking. Then from reflection you act, that is doing. Then again reflect, then improve this action. Reflect, act, reflect again, and then improve the action. So this is a simple flowchart of what praxis is according to Freire. So what is the importance and meaning of this praxis? Learning is incomplete without action in real life. So without action, without putting the learning into action, what is the use of learning anything? Right. So the action without thinking can be misguided or ineffective. So without thinking, so you act. But if you act without thinking, then there is no use for action. Okay. So praxis will ensure balanced, meaningful, and purposeful learning. It connects theory with real world transformation. So what are the various components of praxis? Reflection, that is critical thinking. Action, that is transformative practice. Unity of reflection and action. These three are the main components. Reflection, that is thinking, deeply thinking about the experiences, society, and problems, and questioning issues like poverty, inequality, and discrimination. And then action, taking practical steps to solve and to solve the identified problems. Whatever problems you have identified, taking steps to solve those problems. And application of knowledge in real life situation. And then unity of both reflection and action. Only reflection will lead to verbalism. That is no real change. Okay, just mere writing, mere bookish knowledge. Only action will lead to blind activism. That means there is no direction. Okay, so praxis means reflection plus action for transformation. So both of them are very important. Then continuous cycle of praxis. What is continuous cycle? First reflect, then act, then reflect, then improve. Improve the previous action and then act again. Reflect, act, reflect again and improve that action and then put that action into practice. That is act again. Okay, it promotes continuous learning, improvement and development. So this makes learning dynamic rather than static. So what are the various applications and examples? It can be applied in community-based problem solving like waste management, sanitation, water scarcity, etc. In critical discussions which lead to action like classroom discussions on social issues like gender equality, poverty, environmental issues, etc. In field-based and experiential learning, surveys, field visits, interaction with various communities to understand the real-life conditions and challenges they are facing. Then literacy as empowerment. Then that is these Freire's literacy programs which focus on real life issues instead of simply memorization of the subject. Okay. Then what is the relevance of uh, this Freire's concept today? It promotes critical thinking over rote learning. It supports experiential and learner-centered education. It encourages active citizenship and social responsibility. It addresses inequality, discrimination, and social injustice. It prepares learners for real-world challenges. So the last question is, what is Gramsci's organic intellectual approach? So this Antonio Gramsci was a prominent thinker who introduced the concept of organic intellectuals as a part of his cultural hegemony. Okay, this as a part of his theory of cultural hegemony. So, uh, so basically, he argued that the society is dominated not only by political and economic control, but also through ideas, cultures, and education. So he believed that all these three, ideas, culture, and education, also dominates the society. So this in turn shapes people's beliefs and consciousness. So traditional intellectuals like professors, scholars, they remain detached from real life struggles, whereas organic intellectuals, I will define this organic intellectuals later. They emerge from within the community and actively participate in their development. So let us come to the definition of organic intellectuals. So who are these organic intellectuals? They are the individuals who understand the lived realities, that is the live realities of their community, and work to educate, organize, and empower the people. So in traditional intellectuals are those who have only bookish knowledge, like professors and scholars. But organic intellectuals, they have experienced the realities of lives. So he considers these organic intellectuals as greater people when compared to others. Okay. So this approach views education as a tool for social transformation, helping people develop critical awareness and challenge the dominant ideologies. So Gramsci, he emphasized that learning should connect to real life issues, social struggles, and collective action, making education practical, relevant, and transformative. So what are the key features of this organic intellectual approach? First, leadership from within the community. So these organic intellectuals emerge from within the community, and they're not coming from somewhere outside. Okay, they understand the local problems, cultures, and needs. Okay, they act as bridge between knowledge and the society. Then contrast with traditional intellectuals. So traditional intellectuals are generally academically oriented and socially detached. So they have bookish kind of a knowledge. Whereas organic intellectuals are actively engaged in social life and grassroots realities. Okay, they know the root cause of the problems. So the focus shifts from theoretical knowledge to practical transformation. Role in community development. So what is the role of these organic intellectuals? They play a key role in mobilizing communities, spreading awareness, and solving local problems. Okay, they promote health, education, livelihood development, and social reform. So they act as change agents. So building class consciousness. So these organic intellectuals help people to understand their social and economic conditions, especially inequalities. So they make the people understand their own reality, help and hence encouraging awareness about rights, exploitation, and justice. They develop a sense of collective identity and solidarity among people of marginalized groups. Okay. Then they promote counter hegemony. So, what is counter hegemony in the first place? Counter hegemony nothing but the actions, ideas, or movements that challenge or resist or aim to dismantle the dominant culture. Okay, ideologies or political powers. Okay, within the society. So, whatever is dominant, they want to suppress the dominance. Okay, that is counter hegemony. Okay, they challenge the dominant ideologies that maintain inequality and oppression. They encourage alternate ways of thinking that promotes equality, justice, and empowerment. They help create a more democratic and inclusive society. Education as a political tool. Education is seen as a means to empower people and transform the society, not just to gain knowledge. It encourages learners to question the authority, think critically, and take action. Okay, it links learning with action. That means it links learning with real life situations. What are some of the real life examples of organic intellectuals? Self help group women leaders. So there are various leadership groups, okay, that emerge as grassroots leaders, promoting savings, microfinance, entrepreneurship. They educate other women about financial literacy, rights, and health awareness. They act as organic intellectuals by transforming their community from the within, as we have already discussed, like grassroots leaders. Then youth volunteers, youth individuals working in NGOs or local communities to spread awareness about education, environment, and social issues. They organize campaigns, workshops, and activities that educate and mobilize people. Farmer groups and cooperatives. So they share knowledge. So these farmer groups share knowledge about modern techniques, sustainable agriculture, and market access. Then local educators and community leaders. So teachers and social workers who engage directly within community to address education related social challenges. So this is the table that you can go through. What are the various Gramsci's ideas and what are the constructivist principles and the explanation. So various Gramsci's ideas like organic intellectuals, class consciousness, counter hegemony, education as political, dialogue and praxis. All these we have discussed before. You can just go through. And their explanations also is given. So how these ideas and ideologies are aligned with National Educational Policy 2020. So learner-centered and experiential learning, critical thinking and problem solving, community engagement and social responsibility, vocational education and skill development, equity and inclusion.